Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm April Dipollina from the Connecticut Family Support Network, and I'm bringing you another CTFSN chat. I've been using these chats here in southeastern Connecticut to highlight different resources that are available to families and individuals in southeastern Connecticut. So today I have two people from United Cerebral Palsy in Eastern Connecticut. Both of them work in the Assisted Technology Department, and we'll call that AT for short. So first I'm going to introduce you to Shannon Tabor, and she'll tell you a little bit more about herself and then about the program. Welcome, Shannon.
Thank you. So I'm Shannon Tabor. I'm the Director of Inclusion and Accessibility here at United Cerebral Palsy of Eastern Connecticut. And I work in the Assistive Technology Lending and Accessibility Services. We'll call that ATLAS, just to shorten that. So I've been here at UCP for about 8 years now, and in the last 8 years, assistive technology has just blossomed, and the field itself has just so many opportunities, and we're seeing the opportunity for us to help our community by putting technology in the hands of people we work with. So I also work with the outreach program, which is the Disability Support Program or Inclusion Access. And what we do is we will work with any age, any disability, all ages, all stages, and we're here for resources within the community. And those resources can include housing assistance, resources for assistive technology, financial assistance. It can also include energy assistance. And sometimes it's a support group and finding another family who might be able to help you through whatever you're dealing with at that moment.
So when you say in the community, does that also include, and I'm focusing mostly on AT right now, are you consulted by school systems?
Yes. Families.
So, families in their home, and then it could be an individual too.
Yes. We also work with businesses.
Oh,
yeah.
That's something that I wouldn't think of that often. Being a parent, I'm more focused on child focused in that. Now, when a school system contacts you, well, that was the question. Do they contact you, or does a parent say, you know, I'd like you to contact my school system, or can I have you come to my, how does that work? Actually, I would imagine it's done through a PPT probably.
It can be through either. We've had families reach out to us to say, you know, we're struggling. Our school system's not teaching us how to use a communication program. Our school system doesn't offer us access to switches at home. And major kudos to the families that say we want to do what our school is doing so that there's that continuity. Mm-hmm. So we're here for you. If we can get you access to that switch that they're using in school, call us. We're going to do everything we can to get that same switch or as close as possible in your hands so that you can do that same activity. You know, and you know, the other part to that is that maybe the school is using a Big Mac switch. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's not the best switch. Maybe we can help you find a smaller switch or a switch that is more sensitive or less textured, right? So we're here to help anybody and everybody. The other part to that is we have heard so many stories about, you know, the school system that lets the child use an iPad in school, then at 3 o'clock, the child leaves school and leaves the iPad. Now they get home and they don't have access to the communication. They don't have access to the homework help and the different adaptations or accessibility features that they are able to use in school. So we're seeing a decline in what they're able to do with the families. There's, you know, limited access. So what we've done is we're offering those tools.
Okay, so as a parent, I kind of want to respond to that because, first of all, when your child needs assisted tech within the school system, the way that I know the process to go is, you know, it's brought up either by speech or OT or someone, and they research it and say, we're suggesting X, Y, and Z. And just about for exactly the same reason you mentioned, every kiddo I know needs that consistency. But as a parent, you know, I don't even know these things exist unless you've been in the special needs world, okay? But otherwise, you're looking at this and going, I wouldn't know where to get it. I don't know anything about it. And so that's kind of like the first thing I always tell parents is you want continuity, you want consistency. But then as a parent, even if I knew it was a Big Mac switch, nowadays, I guess you could Google, but going to you to find out who provides the Big Mac, is it the best, and all of that, that simplifies it so much. And then of course, there's also the law is in our favor for getting these items carried over into the home, but you can help parents access them and even suggest if there's something better.
Right. The other part to that is, and I apologize for interrupting you.
No.
The other part to that is Big Mac switches are not cheap.
Yeah. And
so let's say we have two houses. So the school has sent home, you know, one, but now, you know, Joey stays at grandma's house until mom gets home from work. There's a loss in time there. So
yeah,
reach out to us. And if we can help provide access to that switch or a switch, we're going to do that, because not only do we provide the technology, we can provide financial assistance in many cases. That's huge. That is so huge. And so I hope everybody that's listening is taking notes on that, which is why we're doing this. Resources in the community. And that is true of why the network was started, because there are things out there, but as a parent, like I said, unless you have experience, you don't know of these. So that's fantastic that you're there as a resource. Let's move it forward to the older age group. So how would someone past school age, possibly living independently, search out and find out what is available for them living independently? I know a few things that are very helpful for individuals, but you could elaborate like on med minders and locks and cameras. If you could elaborate on that, that'd be great. Absolutely. So we do have what we call our lending center, and our lending center is very much like a library. So you can, especially right now during COVID, call us, email us. I'm in the office. Jen, my coworker on the bottom right there, is not in the office yet, but she is taking calls and emails, and we'll get the technology to you cleaned, and we can teach you either virtually or, you know, with social distancing. But we have a lending center that allows us to provide the devices that you might need for independence, whether it's smart home, whether it's daily living, some of it's adapting your home. And then there's also the just making it easier.
Nice.
So the technology that we have in place can be a loaned device. Is it the right device? We don't know. But if you try it and 4 weeks after you've tried it, it's perfect for you, and now you need the financial assistance to help buy it, that's something that, again, we can assist with. Sometimes it's a learning curve. We might say a highlighter is the right tool. Well, this is $1. But it might not be the right tool. So then we say, okay, so now we need a lined strip. And that strip of lining, you can go line by line. Still pretty cheap, but maybe that's not the right tool. Okay, now we need to go into a program on an iPad that will highlight word by word, line by line, and read with you. So it's not always black and white. Sometimes it's, let's try this. This didn't work. Let's try this. As a family, it's difficult to absorb all of those costs, right? So I might be able to do $1 or $2 easily, but now we're talking about $35 programs or $200 programs on an iPad. And it can be costly to try and find the right tool. Reach out to us. We'll help you get there.
So just like I asked you about the school system, in the adult world then, some individuals, not all, will have a case manager. So, and say they're setting up a place to live independently for the first time. Would you work with the case manager?
We can, and we have.
I have a call coming in and I'm trying to mute it, and I'm working on that.
That's okay.
Okay. So possibly lending through that and then purchasing later with working with an agency will give you more buying power. And actually,
Right.
The most important thing is you'll get the right device, because I know setting up things for my daughter, I kind of blindly bought some equipment and it was just wrong. It was just wrong. So that's.
And we've all been in those for a short time. So I also have a daughter with disabilities, and I have to tell you, for a long time, I would say, I brought this home, let's try it. And eventually it became a joke of, all right, I just bought it for myself so that I could try it. And if you like it, you can have it. But, you know, you mentioned the case manager piece. And
Yeah.
If a person has a case manager through DDS, there is an actual, a large push right now to make Connecticut a technology first state. Which is interesting. If you think about that, we're employment first, and now to be technology first, it's tough to figure out which one you want to do first. But the idea behind that is if there is technology that we can put in place as a natural support. So think smart home technology.
What is smart home when you say that, or just in general?
So smart home technology would be an Alexa device. Alexa, stop. It could be med reminders. It could be a device to turn on your overhead lights or to shut off your overhead lights, to turn on your TV, to turn off your TV, right? So smart home technology is anything that you can voice control or control from another device. Think of phone. So it's something that you can control without having to do a lot of movement, if you will. So technology first right now is a thing. It's an important thing.
And I wonder why, right? I mean, here we sit on a Zoom meeting, which I don't know about you, but 4 months ago, I didn't even know what Zoom was. You know, through COVID, technology has just been thrust upon all of us, abilitied, disabilitied, or whatever, with so many people working from home. It's changed our whole lives. I like the idea of you being there, Shannon, at UCP, because somebody has to bring us into this world. Yes, I can figure things out. I can sit, and this is typical of the individual. I can sit here for 4 hours and I will find the right button to hit. But isn't it lovely that here in Southeastern Connecticut, we have a resource, and not only find the right buttons, but she might tell you there's a better device. So I'm just thrilled that you're there, and you're also able to work through this, that you are actually in the office and you're still lending and you're still in full swing.
And we're trying really exceptionally hard to make sure that everything that goes out is clean.
Mm-hmm.
We clean it, we cover it, wrap it so that it stays clean until I deliver it. And then when I go back and get it, we're, you know, doing all of our precautions and doing everything we can to make sure everything stays clean. So we have everybody's best interests in mind.
Well, thank you for doing what you're doing. And then we're going to switch to Jen to find out how you fit into this picture at the AT department at UCP. This is Jen Lortie, who I have met, oh gosh, Jen, I don't know how many years ago, but I'm thrilled to have met Jen. She comes and talks to my parents and my groups many times. And just as Shannon, she's always enlightens me with what tech can do for us. So welcome, Jen.
Thank you. So my name is Jen Lortie. I also work at UCP Atlas Center with Shannon. Right now I'm working out of the office, but as Shannon said, I'm taking calls, helping with assessments, helping with resources that people might need if they email me and they're doing schooling at home and they don't know how to get their child to, say, do math problems without the instructor right there. I can help them find applications and programs on the iPad that are at their educational level so that they can succeed in their homeschooling settings.
So Jen, just take me back. Let's go back to like March and tell me what the calls were like that started coming in. You mentioned homeschooling, so I'm sure you got those.
Yes, so I would get calls of, you know, we had, as you were saying before, we had access to the communication program at school, but now the child's not at school. So what do I do? And I would say, well, do you have an iPad? What does the child normally use at home? Just if the school day were normal and they get home from school, what do they use in that environment? And then try to either figure out, do they need to borrow a device from UCP, or can we find them something that they could put on their own device that's not very expensive, but will still do the same type of thing that they were used to in the school environment.
You mentioned something they can put on their old device. I'm older school here, so I keep thinking of devices, buy this, get this, but actually we're in the world of download now, right?
Yes.
So name some things or give some examples of something you could just download.
For example, there are many assistive communication applications. Some of them are quite expensive, like ProLoco to Go, which helps people who cannot speak communicate either through pictures or typing. But for those that type, we might recommend something like Handy Speech that's only $2.99, so they can still communicate with their family on the family's iPhone or iPad. And instead of spending $300, they've only spent $2.99. Or if they can't do that, I can go to Shannon and say, do we have a device that we haven't loaned out already that we can loan to this particular family?
This is a sideline, but just because you said that, and I know the need is great. Shannon, what do you do to get all these devices? Do you end up doing, or maybe you know, Jen, I don't know, funding? Do you do fundraising or write grants? How do you get your funding to get enough devices to give everyone?
So we are a Connecticut Tech Act partner, which is basically, we are one of 6 agencies who receive funding through the Connecticut Tech Act to purchase devices. That's one way we get our devices. Another one is we can utilize grant funding. We do write grants all year long. So we can utilize grant funding to purchase devices for our AT center. And then the last one is we do have one fundraiser every year. We have a golf tournament, and it was 2 days ago. So it was very hot. But yes, the fundraising, when we raise funds for UCP, oftentimes we can access some of those funds to purchase devices for the AT center. We have well over 300 devices in our AT center right now. So we have a lot of stuff.
Good to know. Okay, Jen, back to you and your questions. Did you get questions from parents just frantic and just in general to figure out how to get hooked up to do homeschooling?
I actually was quite surprised that I really didn't get a lot of those questions. Some of the parents that we work with are pretty tech savvy, so they were able to manage with the help of the school setting up devices. But we're always here for people who need that extra help of, how do I set up my device? Or I just got my child an iPad, but how do I lock it so they're not getting into things I don't want them getting into?
Which is an issue.
Yes. Yeah. At UCP, before we loan our devices out, we make sure that the locks are appropriate so that our people borrowing the devices can't access, say we have a 4-year-old who's really good at using technology, but we don't want them to access explicit TV shows or things like that. So we make sure that what they're able to get access to is appropriate.
That's a very good point you raise. I hadn't thought of that. And those, when a parent or when you own a device, you can change the locks too, so that they become appropriate for the age or what you're trying to do. How about with people living independently? What kind of calls have you been getting from them looking for assistance?
So it wasn't, we have gotten a few calls, or at least I've gotten a few calls from people living independently, and it was more of I'm in a crisis with something that's going on at my house, can you help? So I reached out to everybody I could think of for assistance. One of my roles at UCP, as Shannon's role also, is to help people find resources that might not always be just technology. So this one individual had a crisis and needed funding for something and did not know where to turn and needed it immediately. So I reached out to everyone I could think of to put her with the right agency to get home repairs, which I was not expecting a call like that, but we help anyone we can with whatever need arises.
That's very good to know, because a lot of this, none of this really happens in a vacuum either. I mean, if you need assisted tech, you possibly need help with other parts of your life and bringing it all together. And that's one of the hardest things, is for parents or individuals to figure out who to go to and where to turn, who to call. As I said earlier, some people have case managers, but there's a huge, vast amount of individuals that wouldn't have a case manager. And as we move into this really, especially with COVID, very tech-focused world, we need to know where to go. And at least you people, even like you said, you don't do the kind of crisis this person was in. It wasn't tech, but at least you were there to make connections. That's huge. That's huge. That's just huge, of helping each other in general, which I think COVID has isolated us in a lot of ways. So then, Jen, do you help with the consultations that Shannon mentioned and the assessments?
I'm very, very new to the idea of helping with assessments. During COVID, I've been going to school to learn how to do assessments and get certification. I just did my first assessment, I think it was this past Monday. And I'm going to be doing another one today after we hang up this call.
So after you do an assessment, then you would be consulting with Shannon and finding those, seeing if you had the devices available through UCP.
If Shannon wants to step in here, do you want to talk about the project that we've taken on with the state of Connecticut?
Sure. So the state of Connecticut, through the CARES grant, created a program called Stay Connected. And the Area Agency on Aging and the Centers for Independent Living are doing a survey of any callers as they call in. They're listening to their request, and then they're doing a survey to identify individuals at risk for social isolation right now while everything is so locked down still. And as they identify social isolation, they would then send that individual on as a referral to one of 3 partner agencies. UCP of Eastern Connecticut were one, EastCon is another, and NEAT in Hartford is the third. And so once we get that referral, we reach out to the individual. We do a very simple consultation, identifying ways that we can help that individual get connected and stay connected. And that connectivity might include an iPhone or a tablet with Zoom, or there are some really neat iPads and tablets out there right now, like Birdsong and GrandPad. I don't know if you're familiar with either of those, but so we're identifying the technology that that individual might need, and then we're going to train them to then get connected to the community, somebody in the community, to really decrease that social isolation.
So those referrals would come to you through this survey?
Yep. And the survey can be gained through Center for Independent Living, or the Area Agency on Aging in your area. So we're Southeastern Connecticut. Disabilities Network in Eastern Connecticut, DNEC.
Yeah.
DNEC is one of the agencies providing that survey and referrals. So it would help, if it could help someone get access to technology to prevent that isolation, then it's win-win in our book.
That's what it's all about, keeping people connected. Do either of you have anything you want to add that I didn't think to ask you that you think is really important? I mean, I think we could, there's so much here. We could keep talking for quite a long time, but anything specific I missed or that you want to add?
I would say that if anything that we've said today brings a question to mind, we're a simple phone call away. You can access us through our website, which is UCPEasternCT.org. And there, all of our programs are in there. And on every single page of our website, you can send a questionnaire. You can say, I'm just looking for information. And if we can't help you, we're at least going to send you, as Jen just told you, we're going to send you someplace that can.
Can you give us your phone number too then, Shannon?
Absolutely. So we can be reached at 860-443-3800. And when you call that number, I'm extension 111. Jen is extension 112. Or if you don't press an extension and someone picks up, you can just ask for us.
All right, that's great to know. That's what I was going to add to that is we mentioned a lot here and a lot of new resources that I hadn't even Well, some of them I knew of, but we haven't highlighted in that. So again, as Shannon said, if there's anything that was mentioned, you can certainly contact them at UCP, or you can get to me through the Connecticut Family Support Network. You just have to Google that. We have a website. We also have my email is my name, april.dipollina@lmhosp.org. Or, simply Google the network and you will get all our contact information. I can't thank you enough, my dear friends. I've known you both for so long. You do such good work. Stay safe, stay in touch, and thank you.
It was great to see you. Thank you for having us.
Yes,
Take
thank
care.
you, April.
You're welcome. Bye now.
Bye.